Good evening. Shop Talk. I received a letter from a guy in prison that for years I've loved on, I've witnessed to, and no matter how much he was against God, God put a love in my heart to witness to him. And here recently he got saved. And he was full of joy. He was full of mountaintop victory. He was full of everything that we feel when we truly abide in the Spirit and we get everything right. But then the doubts, the fears, and everything comes. And I just received a letter from him that he was talking about how how can he love God one minute and then abide in sin the next? You know, how can he serve God? How can all these questions that I have, that you have, that we've had? Well, in Genesis chapter 12, he's called the father of faith, Abraham. Abraham's given a command to leave the land of Canaan, and he does. He grabs his family. He was obedient. God gave him a command. He said, okay, I'm going. That doesn't mean he's going to get everything right, because he didn't. He came into Egypt, and he had a beautiful wife. Abraham was 75 years old, and his wife, Sarah, it says, was beautiful. And he told her, he said, look, say you're my sister. He said, because if not, they're going to kill me and take you to be their wife. So he did. He told him that he was a sister. And God intervened when she was taken to Pharaoh before anything happened or anything else. God intervened. But Abraham had doubts. He had fears, and to save his own skin. And then he did it again in chapter 20 when God continued to move him to Gerar. And he went again and told him, he said, look, tell him you're my sister. And to make a long story short, she did too, and she agreed to that. So they both lied. Even though Sarah was his half, meaning they had the same father but different mothers. So, I mean, it was still a lie. It was still deception. It was still fear. And then Abraham's son, Isaac, who you find out in 26, he did the same thing. He told his wife, Rebecca, he said, look, tell him you're my sister. Now, the point I'm trying to make in all this, now it's in Genesis 12, Genesis 20, and Genesis 26. I don't have time to go into full details. But the point was, God was for them and not against them. God intervened, even though they were scared, they were fearful, and they sinned against God. God still protected them, and he still kept their marriage wholesome. Which tells me this, that I have a heart and a zeal for God, and I pray you do too. We wake up in the morning and we're like, Lord, help me to do good. We don't always do that. But it's not based, our faith, our love in Him, what He does is not based on everything you get right. It's not. It's based on Christ and Christ alone. It says before the foundation of the world, He planned to send Jesus, which means this, in every sin, it's every bad thought and everything you've ever done in your entire existence. You see on the news, you see at work, or you see through your neighbors, or whatever it is that you see. God knew they were going to do this. He knew you were going to do what you do. He knew I was going to do what I do. But yet He still said, you know what? I love them. They're my creation. I'm going to create them, and I'm going to create them with a choice to love me or not. So as long as we wake up with a heart that says, Lord, I'm yours. He's with us. He really is. Because you might fail 50 times. You might fail 100 times. You might fail 1,000 times. But He already knows this. You just can't give up that faith and that hope that it's not based on your works. It's on Christ and Christ alone, what He did. He took the price, the punishment. God still used Abraham. These are my notes. He still used him despite the sin. And that's just examples. I imagine if you walked with Him, He made plenty of mistakes. We make plenty of mistakes. But yet, you just have to have the heart that says, I'm here, Lord. Please use me. Please. So, I pray that you will do that today. Ask God to just show you. And I pray you will love in Him. I love y'all.